Hey everyone, this is your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and your favorite girl, of course. I'm Between the Lines, broadcasting to you from Trinidad and Tobago, lovely island in the Caribbean. Most people may not know it, but who cares? You'll find out about it now. So it's a beautiful day. It's a bit overcast, and I always start my show being thankful for everything. Just being thankful for being alive, being here, breathing, seeing the beauty of the world, having another day to carry out my purpose, whatever it is. I know my purpose, but sometimes we need to distill it some more and we just keep going in order to make sure that we're on the right path. So I'm just happy to be here to have another chance, another opportunity. Not many people have that ability to say they have another chance. Okay, so I am thankful. I am also thankful to have two beautiful people. They look like they're out of the movies. Malcolm, Malcolm and Simone Collins. I just love Simone's glasses. She's looking so beautiful. Oh my God. They both look like they're out of our movies. They look geeky, and that is not to say anything negative, but it just comes across so that I need to read their bio. Oh my God. Let me just get to their bio. They're originally neuroscientists focused on brain-computer interface and the evolution of human cognition. This is about Malcolm, and Malcolm not in the middle, Malcolm on the right side on this video. His work is on display at the Smithsonian. Oh my God, Malcolm, you need to share that with me another time. Malcolm Collins felt he could learn more about the way humans interact with the world and each other by pursuing an MBA at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. There he met Simone, his wife and co-author, who at the time was director of marketing at Hub Pages. I know Hub Pages, managing a team of 20,000 freelancers. Together, they co-founded the art commission marketplace at Corgi, artcorgi.com, after which Malcolm became director of strategy at South Korea's most desired source of early stage capital. And Simone earned her graduate degree from Cambridge while working in VC. Is that Vancouver? Don't know. No. You need to.
No, VC, venture capital.
Okay, great. So the couple now runs a number of travel companies. I'm going to showcase their website in a while with a focus on Travel Max, splitting their time between North American headquarters in Miami, Florida, and South American offices in Lima, Peru. So welcome, guys, to Between the Lines, neuroscientists.
We are thrilled to be here with you today, and we're joining you from Lima, Peru.
Oh, yay!
We're also having fantastic cold weather, which we love. Well, cold compared to Miami, which is where we are most of the time.
Yeah, most people would say the other way around. They want warm instead of cold. And Peru is close to me, well, relatively. Trinidad is the top of South America, an island in the top of South America, and you guys are like Central America somewhat, is it?
Yeah.
Well, Central South.
Yeah, more the higher part of South America on the west.
Yeah. So we're close. We're neighbors. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. We're talking today about, let me remind myself, why offense should breed curiosity. What an interesting topic. Very intellectually stimulating. Malcolm, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to get started, but if you want to introduce the topic a bit more, it's a topic that we talk a lot about. So we recently published a book that's been a bestseller on Amazon for about 5 months now, and
nice.
And we did it together. And one of the topics that came out of this book, it's called The Pragmatist's Guide to Life. If you want to check it out.
Yeah.
And it's only 99 cents, and we give all the money we make from it to charity, and specifically charity that's meant to sort of promote sort of a pragmatic mindset. And one of the aspects of that mindset that people often find very interesting or engaging is this idea that you should look at your emotions, understand why you feel the emotions you feel, and then try and extract from those emotions what practical value you can gain from them. And offense is such an interesting emotion because you only feel offense. So you feel offense in a very specific scenario. It's when something challenges your worldview. So your sort of perception of the way reality might work. But you only feel it if you feel that the challenge may be legitimate or it's something that you have some self-doubt about. So
if someone accuses me of being an alien, I'm not going to be offended because I know I'm not an extraterrestrial.
But, or somebody accuses you of being, dumb, you probably wouldn't feel offense either because you're fairly confident in your intelligence. But if they accuse you of something where you have some self-doubt about it, or you have some still emotional hangups on that issue, that's where you're going to really experience the emotion of offense. And where it becomes more interesting is not when people are challenging you specifically, but when you find an idea or a worldview offensive. And that's where we have had so much fun recently.
Well, because what all this means is if something offends you, it could possibly be that you're wrong, and that paradigm or that fact about yourself or that offensive assertion about yourself is true.
Well, what I'm saying is it's less important when it's about yourself, but when it's about worldviews.
Well, what I'm saying, the most important thing is knowing that maybe you're wrong and using that opportunity to find out if you are, because if you are, you'd probably rather have the correct information.
Well, some people would rather have the correct information. Some people are perfectly happy saying, this is the environment I grew up in, this is the way my parents saw the world, this is the way I want to see the world, no new information.
Yeah. The thing about it, I like that, and thank you so much for introducing the topic, Malcolm. And like Simone said, both of you rather, if somebody, like she gave the example, if I have an issue with what somebody has said to me, it means to say that there's some sort of doubt within me, or else I wouldn't be bothered about it. If somebody, I feel, like you say, some sort of way about it, a fear, a weakness, that it touches something in me, I'm going to be offended, and I'm going to start questioning myself. But what if that person, how in the first place, how did that person, probably that person who is offending me, picked up that is something that I may be offended about, or that I have a weakness for, and they decide to come at me to bring me down in a way, to bring down my guard, to weaken me so that they can take advantage of a situation.
Yes, and that's very interesting. The idea of weaponizing offense against you.
Yeah,
I like that, weaponizing, yes.
But it's really not even weaponizing your potential weakness. It's weaponizing your insecurity about your weakness. So if I'm a man and I see myself as being very masculine, and someone tries to attack me by making some comment about how I'm not really masculine, I'm only going to succumb to that attack if I'm insecure about my masculinity, not if I'm actually it doesn't matter if I'm truly masculine or not. It only matters if I'm insecure about it.
But the only way to get over the emotion of offense is to 100% understand why you feel it, like where they're coming from, and why they believe a different worldview than you. And, it's very easy to dismiss people's worldviews, I think, when it's obvious that they're weaponizing it. If somebody says something to me that I know is just meant to offend me, it's not that challenging to me. When somebody says something to me because they genuinely believe it, that's when I find it more offensive, because I know that their genuine belief must come from somewhere, and it's somewhere that I don't fully understand. That's when I get the most.
You want to know. So say, for example, you said something to me, Malcolm, and I take offense to it. I take offense to it. It doesn't mean to say that I am insecure about that. But the fact that you came at me in that particular manner, I am now going to start to say, what? Why would you think like that, Malcolm? Why would you, it's not that I may be insecure necessarily, but it now makes me question, why would you want that of me, or want me to react in a particular way? And talking about your worldview and parents and influence, it comes back to that, because that is our first point of reference. The persons that would have influenced us, our parents, how we were brought up, our education, etc., etc. And so you are coming at me to say something in particular, and I'll be like, what? You are now, you, Malcolm, are now using your point of reference on me, and so I must now step up to what you are expecting.
I love this way of looking at conversations conversations is sort of a battleground like this, because it's very much not the way we've looked at things, but it's so fascinating. The point and counterpoint and the trying to get you off your balance so they can gain some leverage over you.
Yes.
Very interesting.
It is very interesting. It's not a world that we engage with that much because, you know, we work with raising money and stuff like that. And typically the only thing people care about is how much money we can make them.
Yeah.
So they never have an interest in gaining sort of an emotional upper hand on us, which I think somewhat shields us from that aspect of life. And something else that you brought up, you know, you talk about your parents and stuff like that. And this is sort of the core of our book, is why do we believe what we believe? Like every individual person, how do you come to your worldview?
Exactly.
And it's such an interesting topic because it's one that our society just doesn't engage with. It's just like, well, people believe what they believe and you should respect that and not engage with it.
No, I will tell you, sorry for cutting you, Malcolm, but I mean, we said it's an intellectually stimulating discussion. So let me tell you, I'm on a path of discovery, okay? And I am always questioning things, whether it's about myself, whether it's something I observe, whether I love observing. My first degree is in sociology, so I go into understanding people's behavior, looking at interactions, you know, conversations, and things will come to me. And I am on a path of self-discovery, which I think everybody should be on perpetually until they die. And I have looked at my life recently after some personal changes and, you know, challenges that I've been going through. My mother is still alive. My father passed on some years ago. And I am looking at my mother. She's 78 now. And I'm looking at her and I'm saying, I am seeing things in her, because I years ago I started to hear my mother's voice coming through me. Like when I was dealing with my now ex, I noticed him sitting down at the dinner table and my hands were just like hers, under my chin. Yeah, under my chin. And I caught myself while I was eating with my hand postured a particular way. And I'm like, what the hell? My mother sits like this and has her hand like this.
Wow.
I noticed even recently coming back to Trinidad, because I wasn't living here for a while. I was living in Jamaica for 21 years. And in looking at her now and taking that sort of outside view, you know, stepping out of myself, I noticed that the reason why my mother keeps giving, she sacrifices herself to give to everybody without taking care of herself. And I said, oh my God, this is what I have been doing. I have been self-sacrificial all my life, giving, making sure everybody else is happy, making sure everybody else is good at the expense of myself. This is where I learned the damn thing from my mother, right? My mother. And I'm like, it's not that, I'm not saying it in a way that it's negative or I'm blaming her. Well, yeah, probably. But but we have to be honest. We have to be honest.
Yes.
We have to be honest. And I'm brutally honest. And I am upset about it. I am learning of this. I'm glad I discovered it, because in watching her, I'm seeing her running up and down, doing things for everybody like a crazy person. And she's not taking the time for herself. And when I discovered it, because I saw it from before, but it became really blatant the other day. And I said to myself, oh, hell no. I am not going to keep doing this. I have to put a stop to this. Yeah. And it is not selfish. And I keep telling people it is not selfish. To do you is to do you. You must please you. You must do you. Because everybody else is doing themselves and want you to do them too.
Very true.
Very true. I love this topic of conversation because it relates very closely to sort of a pet worldview that we have, which is sort of the generational view of who you are. That you are, you know, your mom mixed with your dad, then raised by your mom and dad, and that it's so much better than just living forever, because it allows you to do something that your mom probably can't do, which is look at a 50% version of you and say, oh, I don't like that they're doing that. And that's something that I do sometimes. And I often feel, I mean, for myself, some of the best aspects of who I am are specifically things I noticed in my parents. And I said, okay, I know that on default, I'm going to end up acting that way.
Yeah.
So I need to learn from that behavior. But it often sometimes scares me from our kids, which is how are they going to learn not to do the things that I've learned from the mistakes my parents made? You know?
Oh, so how do they not repeat their grandparents' mistakes?
Yes. So it's easy to learn the positive traits that pass down through generations because those happen every generation. But how is your kid going to know not to, or if you have a kid, I don't know,
Yeah,
to
I
not
do.
be
I have
too...
two children. I encourage them, two boys, 23 and 15. I encourage them to be them. I encourage them. I've always encouraged them to be them, to think on their own. I would, encourage that sort of thought process, to think on their own. I planted the seed of entrepreneurialism in them from very early. Do you, I give them the option when we go out for dinner, anything. What do you want? You select what you want. It doesn't matter what I want. You select that. And I would encourage them. If they keep buying the same thing over, and I'm like, try something different. Let's try something different. You choose this, the other one choose that, I choose something, and then we just try it. We travel, and I would tell my eldest son when I travel with him, go and do that. And he'd be like, okay, yeah. I want them to have their own thought process, while at the same time I'm teaching them certain values. And for example, how to treat a woman, because there's two boys I have, how to treat a woman, what's expected, how to love their mother, how to love a woman. This is what's expected. I teach I teach them that because I think it is important as a mother to be able to train your boys to know how to treat their mother. I don't know what men are supposed to be doing as fathers, but I just know for me, I want my boys, I want when I get daughter-in-laws that they can come to me and say, Mom, you did a great job with your sons. That is what I foresee. That is what I want. I don't want to hear them come and say, oh my God, she spoiled them. What kind of mama's boys are those? I don't want that. I want them to be true men who are responsible, loving, that type of thing. So I hope I have instilled that in them, and that sort of ability to have independent thought and risk taking. Just take risk. Don't care about failure. Just take risk. Don't care about what anybody else thinks about you. It's what you feel about you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I can say, like, I've gone up to my mother-in-law and said, thank you. I don't know what you've done with your sons, but they're amazing to their wives, and they are. Malcolm and his brother are both like perfect husbands. And I think that really does come down to the effort of the mother. Then I love what you're saying too about helping your boys cultivate independent thought and figuring their own lives out, because that's what our book is about. That's what the Pragmatist Guide to Life walks people through. And just like you describe people, or encouraging your whole family, including yourself, to try something new when you eat out at a restaurant, and then order whatever you want for yourself as well. It's what our book does. Our book in the beginning walks people through all the various things that they might value most in life and want to maximize with their lives. And it could be helping others, or it could be helping yourself, or helping the environment, or any number of things, seeing how they taste, essentially, logically speaking, and then choosing for yourself what you want. And I think the really interesting thing is this experience you've had, right? You're sort of struggling now with having grown up, spending a lot of your life just always helping others and putting others before you. And now you've actually thought about it and you're struggling with it. That's where we want to intervene, right? Like, we want people to find out as early as possible, wait a second, this is what I seem to be optimizing for now, but it's not actually something I
value.
Yeah. Or there's something else I'd rather.
Or I only am optimizing for this, and I need to balance my optimization amongst other things I think have value. But society provides us with a framework that's basically like, either it's about maximizing your own emotional needs, it's about maximizing your children's emotional needs,
or prestige, or being the most fancy, wealthy,
or maximizing the emotions for sort of the society or the tribe you're in.
But there's so many things you can do, and so few people have parents like you who are like, figure it out. Like, you can choose what you want to do with
but the
your
point I
life.
was going for there is you're like a 50 different things you can optimize for.
Not like
and
4.
Society pretends like there's like 4.
Yeah. I want to come back to the whole idea about offense breeding curiosity, like where we were talking about the weaponizing. And I think, each day, I think interactions between everybody, whether on a good or bad level, is all about probably not weaponizing, but a sort of manipulation, a sort of chess game, where you're making a move, waiting to see what the other person's move is going to be, doing the things to intimidate, and is that, I don't know what the words are right now, but is that a good thing? Why should we be waking up every day or living our lives as a chess board, a chess game, looking to make a move to see what this person will do, or doing things to offend somebody, whether intentionally or not, or coming up with or perceiving Simone a particular way, looking for her weakness, or thinking she may have a weakness and you want to test that. So you say something to Simone for her to react, to get her to behave in a particular way that you would want to behave. Why play on people's minds? Why play on people's emotions? Why play on people at all?
It's true. And I think what you're describing is such it's a very common mindset people have, and it's so petty, but all they're really doing is succumbing to their long existing instinct to try to be at the top of the dominance hierarchy in whatever like small animal tribe they're in, be it like the company they're working at now or their family. And there's so many things you could focus on instead.
They as an individual are thinking, what do I want in this moment? Like if it's in a relationship or anything else, what do I want from this person? What is the desired thing I'm trying to get from them? And then there's also the push of the dominance hierarchy. And then their brain is sort of processing, not thinking about the other person, not thinking about how what they're going to do is going to affect them in the long term.
Or their core values, or what they really should be doing with their time.
Right. It's just thinking, okay, how do I get this thing immediately? And it's like, oh, I bet they have a weakness here. Let's see if I can hit that.
Yeah, and it's like the easy low ball way out.
But the great thing is the fact that our society exists that way gives us motivation to explore the things that offend us, so that we don't have to worry about them being offensive to us anymore.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you respond to an offense, the initial feeling of offense, with curiosity instead of anger, you basically can overcome that weaponization for any form of offense, because you're like, oh, maybe that is okay. First off, they can't hurt you. Second off, you might learn something interesting. It's the perfect reaction.
An example is recently I've been really digging into, or not recently, I'm about done with this period, but gender critical feminism. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. They're basically a group of feminists who thinks that trans people don't exist and that they're all just sort of making it up. Specifically, often the perception from outsiders is the accusation that they're making it up to try to get into feminist-only spaces and force women to sleep with them. And it's an idea that sounds offensive, and people use the word TERF to describe them. It's sort of like the offensive slur they use. And I heard this worldview, and I was like, I just find this worldview flat out offensive. Something in it drives an offensive emotion within me. And then I thought, well, that means I need to research them. I need to go to where they are. I need to interact with them. I need to see how they built this worldview. And when I really started engaging with the worldview more, one, I realized how logically consistent it was, and how difficult it was for them to live in the social circles that they often were living within, which are incredibly liberal social circles, where they're seen as incredible outsiders and incredible, evil people.
Yeah, and sometimes you're just a lesbian woman who wants to sleep with a lesbian woman, and yet now they find themselves being pressured to sleep with people who
transitioned, but that's the way they see it.
Yeah, that's the way. But it's not what we had known.
But it's not the way we had seen it. But also, I didn't understand the philosophical framework behind why they believed what they believed. The idea that gender was just a construct in their minds, and that the goal of the larger feminist movement should be to wipe out the construct of gender. And they saw the trans movement as attacking that
because they're making gender a thing.
but it's very interesting because when I looked at where the movement came from, it came from a time where Skinner was popular within psychology. So they were even sort of following mainstream scientific trends by then. Now the scientific trends have completely flipped, and Skinnerism isn't really a thing anymore. And but it was interesting for me to really understand their whole worldview, the philosophical framework behind it, how they came to that worldview, the life events that caused them to form these beliefs. And once I felt really comfortable with it, it was no longer offensive to me because I understood where they were coming from. I understood at a human level how they had gotten to that position and the logical framework behind that position, and also their struggles within society holding those viewpoints.
So the
hold on there, Michael. So hold on there, Malcolm. The thing about it is that we're having a wonderful discussion. So hold on there, Malcolm. You were curious to find out about that worldview, where it came from, because something, like you said, didn't sit right with you. So it's coming back beside the, let's call it offender and offendee. So you were the offendee, right? Right. You were the offendee. So the offender, the person that came up with this worldview, that is dispersing this type of behavior, reaction, or giving out the offense. We need to understand the mind of the person who is the offender. What is going on in that particular person's mind, that and their background, to make them behave towards you that way. So say, coming back to the example, let's say somebody offend me and I feel, some sort of insecurity, something not sitting right with me. And that I may be insecure, but it's like, what? There's a what coming out of me. Where did that come from? How did you come to say something like that to me? Why are you expecting this of me? I don't see myself this way. Why are you seeing me this way or want me to be this way? So I'm now going to look at that person and say, where are you? Why would you come up with that construct in your mind? Where is that coming from? Is that from your background? Why are you having this expectation of me? Why are you pinpointing something that you think is missing in me, that you thought should have been there, or you felt was there, but then after time you realize it's not there? Why are you coming up with that construct of me in your mind, and then coming to say to me, you thought it was there, it's not there, I'm seeing it, it's not there, and you point it out to me? Why are you the offender like that?
Yes, and I think that we often try to reach for the simplest answers that allow us to vilify the offender. We want to say, oh, they're sexist, or they're racist, or they're hateful, or they're, without looking for the more nuanced reason. And I also think that one way you see it is you often see these people as trying to offend you or engaging you specifically. But at least for us, maybe it's because we don't interact with people a ton, when we see offensive worldviews, it's very rarely somebody directly trying to engage us.
Well, I think the other problem is that personally, we don't get offended. If someone called me ugly, stupid, whatever.
But that's because you've been doing this for a while. But I mean, suppose on TV, a classic example of offenses, I see somebody saying that there was an earthquake in this country because they legalize same-sex marriage. And I can look at that and I can say, okay, I find that view offensive, but people just want to say, oh, they're a bigot, that's why they believe that. Instead of saying, okay, well, they clearly are very dedicated to their religious set of beliefs. Did they grow up in a culture where this was seen as strange? Are they looking for evidence of this within their religious text? Are they saying, okay, here is a case where God did this in the religious text because people were doing this law or something? And you can look and you can understand philosophically how they came to these beliefs, and it's very useful to, one, not find them offensive anymore, but two, engage these people from their own perspective instead of engaging somebody from your perspective. And I find that that's one of the most useful things about this. So often, I might be talking to, a Christian person, and they go, oh, you should be Christian. And I'm like, why? And they go, well, because the Bible says that Christianity is true. And from their perspective, that's a logical argument because they believe everything in the Bible is true. But I'm like, but from my perspective, I don't hold the belief that everything in the Bible is true. So saying that I should be a Christian because the Bible says it's the thing I should do is a very poor argument. And by understanding how other people see the world, not only can you protect yourself from offense from them, but you can move them more towards your own way of seeing the world.
How do you do that? I love that, because the person has their view. They're trying to get you over to their view. You have a different view of it because obviously you've been brought up differently. You question things. They may not. They're brought up differently because we didn't come out the same womb. We don't share the same parents. We were not socialized the same way. And that is what makes the world go round. This is why we can have such great discussion on my show and not be biting at each other. I'm trying to kill you. We are the whole thing about it. I mean, just look at us talking here. I mean, you're at a different level to me in the sense of, okay, coming from a neuroscientist background. I'm not from a neuroscientist background. You have done much more research. It doesn't mean to say you're better than me in any way or form, or I'm better than you in any way or form. And we are having such a fantastic discussion on this topic without me trying to push my view on you or you trying to push your view on me. And I'm saying we accept each other for who we are. Why people cannot have a discussion and accept, or relationship or interpersonal, whatever it may be, and accept each other for who they are. I remember meeting a Muslim girl, and we were talking, we were traveling, we ended up sitting next to each other. And we started sharing and discussing, because I'm Catholic, she's Muslim, two different, I guess, different sorts of thinking, you know, and we are such great friends. And I'm like, hey, we need to talk about, you know, religion. And I'm not somebody who talk about religion, you know, because I know when you start talking about religion to, let's say, quote unquote, normal people, they start to fight you, quarrel, want to kill you. And I'm not into that. I'm into learning and understanding and seeing where the mutuality is, the differences, and say, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I need to look that up. So she and I have this great friendship where if I see something, I would send it to her and say, what do you think of this? What does the Muslim faith say on this? And she would come to me with things, and I would say, wow, you know, I'm checking this out, you know, and this is what it's sharing. And she would say, wow. And so we end up being more knowledgeable, more, I don't know if it's because of an openness, an ability to not bring our own views, like we're saying, on somebody else, force that person to be who we want them to be. So how do you, like you're saying, Malcolm, bridge that gap?
Well, I think the first core thing is, so there's a few things I want to unpack from what you were saying. One word that you love, which I love, is the idea of people wanting to push their views on you. When I feel like what we should be doing and what we try to encourage is you try to pull their views from them onto you.
Yeah, so what we have in those non-productive conversations is people talking past each other, but no one's actually engaging, like you were with the Muslim girl that you met.
Yeah, and so you're pulling that view to you. And I think that the core to doing that, the core to these engagements, if you really want to understand the world from somebody else's worldview, is be open to the fact that your worldview may be wrong. Every time I do this, every time I go and explore some worldview that I found offensive beforehand, I come away believing probably 25% of what they believe about stuff that I hadn't had those beliefs before. I come away with beliefs that a previous iteration of myself would have found genuinely offensive that a human could hold, now that I was able to engage with them. And I think on religions, this gets really interesting when you say, why is this person trying to convince me to believe what they believe? But sometimes when you're talking about somebody who genuinely believes something religious, they believe that you're going to go through some enormous suffering, some endless torment because you don't believe what they believe. So they may be trying to get you to see the world from their perspective out of love. The interesting thing is that they're not going to be very effective at that unless they can first understand the world from your perspective.
But the nice thing is when you start asking someone questions and you engage with them, they start to feel this inherent obligation to reciprocate, and they'll start asking you questions. It may take a while, because they're so not used to being listened to, and it's so exciting for them. But that's valuable to you, you know?
Especially if you believe that your goal in the interaction is to convert them, which it may not be, but for many people it would be. And wanting to convert someone to your religion isn't an act of hatred. you know, it can be an act of love. It can be an act of hatred. It can be an act of oppression. It can be an act of kindness.
But that's only if you want to. That's only if you want to. So persons,
yes.
somebody see you a particular way. Like I was saying, somebody see you a particular way. They expect certain things of you. They thought that you had that. They wanted you to have that. Let's say that they wanted you to have a particular quality. They see you in this way, and somehow you may have missed the mark. And in their view, it's not that you are missing the mark. You know, it's not that you don't have the quality, but they just have this particular view. Okay, you now may feel not necessarily insecure, but because this person is saying that to you, you're like, probably I should step up. Probably I should change who I am to meet that person's view. Now, how do you deal with something like that? What would you say to the offendee, the person who is thinking, I need to now become this person that the offender is saying that I should be, or they thought, or they created this view of me. I know I should now step into that. Why should they?
There's no reason why they should.
There's no reason why they should. And they probably wouldn't be feeling offended if there wasn't a view in their own head, a little person in their own head that said, you know, they're right. You really should be this person.
Maybe I should. Like, let's say there's a career woman and she really just wants to work, but everyone's like, how could you do that to your children? You know, you need to be there to raise them. And she might find that very offensive because part of her does feel that guilt. Like she really should be at home raising her children. So,
and the only way to remove that feeling of offense is to fully engage what's causing that feeling.
Yeah, like mentally, like I need to really think about this. What do I actually care about? Raising my children myself, or
yes, and what am I optimizing for? And am I optimizing for the best interests of my children by taking this path or this path?
And maybe she's going to decide, you know what? No, I've always wanted to. My career matters more than anything to me, and then she won't be offended in the future because when someone challenges her on that, she'll be like, no, that's just it's
no, but she's like, I've thought about it. I've thought about it. I understand why I have that little voice in my head that says you really should be with your kids.
But that little voice is wrong.
Yeah, I've looked at the statistics related to kids who have, you know, working mothers. I've looked at the statistics based on wealth level of the kids and how it affects whatever I judge success in my kids to be, and I know that I'm making the right choice. And in that case, they will no longer feel that niggling sense of offense. But the niggling sense of offense that you're talking about, when somebody else comes to you and says, you should be doing X, it's because there's a part of you that may have been socialized from a young age that still believes that you should be doing X. But the great thing is we can engage those parts of us and kill them by accepting them and bringing them into our wider consciousness.
By engaging in dialogue with them and just really just thinking it through.
But so many people don't engage in dialogue with those parts.
Yes, we feel inherent social guilt.
Yeah, the only dialogue they engage with was a part of their brain that says you should be at home. Is that part of their brain is saying you're terrible, and they're saying no, you're terrible. You're socialized and brainwashing. Shut up. Yeah. And then it's saying, no, you're terrible. Look what you're doing to your kid. And it's these
that negative voice that comes at you to make you feel bad. The part that makes you feel, which I was listening to. I can't remember who I was listening to recently, and they said, you know, on a spiritual level, that's the devil coming at you to make you feel bad. Yeah, because to make you feel bad, because God never makes you feel bad about anything. You know, that is not his purpose. But I mean, that's just my thinking, and that's what the person shared. I can't remember what I was listening to, but it was quite interesting, the discussion on that why it is that we when somebody point out something, that we start to question ourselves and we start to feel that we need to step up and now change who we are. We know who we are. We know that that is not going to make us feel comfortable. We know that, you know, the person, yes, probably touch a soft spot. Why it is that we now feel that we need to become somebody else to suit them. And then think about it, Simone and Malcolm. If you keep doing that with one person, when somebody else comes and says something else, you have to do it for another person. Somebody else comes and they do something else, you do it for a third person and a fourth. You constantly living your life trying to, like with my mother, please everybody, and you don't please yourself. So coming back to what you're saying, you need to be, as an individual, very comfortable with you, who you are. Yes. You need to know. And it's more a journey, like I said, for me, a self-discovery. You're constantly discovering who you are. You know that you became who you are through influence, parent, background, education, where you live, etc., culture, whatever. But you come to a point where you start to question now. You're looking at your life. I don't know what age that may be for somebody. It may be teenage, it may be 20, maybe 30s, 40s, 50s. People have different timelines for everything. But you may reach a point where you start questioning. You start looking at your life, reflecting, doing some introspection. And you have to be comfortable with you. You have to realize, hold on, I've been living my life trying to please everybody else. Hell, no, it's time for me. And I'm not selfish in doing that because, hello, I've spent the last 20, 30 years of my life pleasing everybody else. And I don't know how long I have to live. So if I have 10, 20 more years, I'm going to do me in the next 20, 30 more years.
Totally.
Yeah. I love what you were saying about the devil and how the devil causes negative emotions in people and the way he interacts with your life. When I guess I would think that so much more often, most of the bad things we feel in life are because of ourselves and not because of an external force. You know, most of the hatred and the negative emotions we feel, we do to ourselves. And it's so interesting that you can choose to not do that to yourself. You can choose to learn to live in harmony with the vision within your own brain.
It's difficult because you have these two voices playing at you, and it's like you're in a torture. And it's like you're trying to shut up the one that's telling you all these different negative things, you know, because you're trying to be a person that is acceptable to everybody out there. That is how we are living. We're trying to be accepted to everybody. But the key thing is you must accept you. If you cannot accept you, then you cannot be accepted by everybody, because it has to start with you. If you come from a place of accepting you, then everybody else have to stand in line and accept you. Yes, they have to accept you.
It's so true.
See the reverse. You are not asking everybody else to suit you. You are not asking everybody else to change who they are to please you, but they're asking you to change yourself to please them. That's not fair. That's not fair. No, it's not.
We all just have to take what we get.
And so often you're telling yourself, I will only accept myself once everyone accepts me.
That is it. And how are you doing that? How are you doing that, Malcolm? Because you're trying to please everybody else. So you're never going to accept yourself on that continuum. You'll never. No.
There's no way.
There's no way. There's no way you could accept yourself, because if you're saying that you're only going to accept yourself upon the condition of everybody accepting you, then hell, you'll never accept yourself.
Basically.
So if you're listening to this and you feel that way, try to fix it, because your life will be so much easier once you no longer have that rule.
Yeah, stop the conditions and stop making people put conditions on you. Stop the conditions. Love is supposed to be without condition. I mean, look at you two. I mean, I could see genuine love between you two. I mean, I've just met you. Yeah. But I can see it, just such playful love. And you guys are talking to each other, even though you're talking to me. It's like you're in a room by yourself and you're having that conversation. I'm looking at the interaction. It is absolutely cute. And right.
So Simone, what do we say about love when we were starting today? What was our...
That it's a dangerous emotional construct.
And that we did everything we could to prevent falling in love because we didn't want it to influence our decision to get married.
Yeah, it's like getting married while on cocaine or something.
Because so many people, they use love to guide them instead of using logic to guide them and then look at how love forms and develops and making sure, because love, we often love people who are terrible for us. So often people get love confused with other things. They get love involved with caring. It's possible for somebody to love you, to harvest the emotion of love from being around you, but not care about you at all. It's possible for someone to abuse someone they love. And it's possible for you to love somebody and they're going to be a terrible match for you.
So we think love is a dangerous...
It's a dangerous... We're lucky we feel it for each other, but it is dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous the way we talk about it in society, like it's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would somebody abuse you or maltreat you if they supposedly claim they love you? Why would they do that?
Well, because this is the thing. It's two things in society, love. We talk about love to mean a caring, productive relationship, but then we also talk about love as an emotion.
Yeah, an emotional, hormonal attachment, usually romantic in nature to someone else.
And we need to divide these two definitions of love. We need to say there is this emotion of love that a person can feel for somebody else and still be mean to them. A person can, to ensure that their partner, who they feel that who they're harvesting this emotional attachment from, never loves anyone else, never interacts with them. You know, they lock them in their house, they don't let them have friends, because they're trying to ensure that they get this infinite well of this emotion of love. But then there's love where we talk about it in a whole more holistic way, a loving, productive relationship, a meaningful relationship.
Which could be anything like a mother for her children, a father for his children, friends for each other.
But you know, but it's a larger sort of a construct. And just because you feel the emotion of love or somebody feels the emotion of love for you doesn't mean they're going to treat you lovingly. And I think it's the confluence of those two words, which we really use to mean different things in society, that lead people down these bad paths where they might be with somebody who abuses them and they say, but he loves me. And it's like, yeah, he might love you, but that doesn't mean you should be in a relationship with him. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't abuse you. But society tells him, no, that means he'll get better. That means he'll stop, but it doesn't.
No.
Wow. So how do we decide who to be with at that rate?
Well, we're writing our next book on relationships right now, and it's difficult, you know.
Well, I mean, it's you have to decide what you want from a relationship, and if you want a relationship at all, and then find a good match for that without letting love influence you, because if you do that, you may not make a very good choice.
And chances are you will love somebody if you marry them or something like that. If you look at the rates of love in arranged marriages, they're actually higher than the rates in non-arranged marriages.
So what we're saying, you essentially want to arrange your own marriage.
Yeah. Arranged marriages always seem to work out better than the ones that love seem to fit in. Yeah, because I tell you, I'm from Trinidad, so it's Indian, more Indian community, and so they arrange. That is what I grew up with. So from a child, they already decide who your partner is going to be. They look at the family, everything. It has nothing to do with love. But the belief is that you grow in love. You start to see the person you work with, the person you grow in love. So clearly, arranged marriages is the way I need to go, because
the way we say is arrange your own marriage.
Yeah.
Like arranged marriages are not correct because you don't have the agency to decide.
Yeah, I mean, other people are making a decision for you based on things that may not be what you care about.
Decide to be with the person you want to end up loving.
Yeah.
Oh, say that again.
Decide to be with the person you want to love. You would love if you loved this person. But even more importantly, the thing that we say when you're choosing who you're with, the way is you're not choosing them for who they are. You're choosing them for who they want to turn you into. When you marry somebody, you're getting to choose the person that they're going to transform you into. And you can love that person more than who you are. When I married Simone, I knew the vision she had for me, and that was the person I wanted to be. And that was even more meaningful than the person I was going to spend my life with, because it was the person I was going to spend my life as.
Our marriage vows to each other were to make each person the best possible version of themselves, as far as we understood what they wanted.
And so many people, they spend their married lives fighting against the person the other person is trying to transform them into. And that's such a cause of conflict and unhappiness that doesn't need to exist, and that could be a form of self-betterment.
Wow. Wow. That you guys need to come back on this show. I am so serious. So,
we would love that.
We would love that. We've had so much fun talking with you.
Oh yeah, I've had a lot of fun. We end up going past 30 minutes, obviously, which is what typically happens on my show. This is awesome, Simona Malcolm. I didn't even get to share your website because we just, and I mean, it just, your website is more about travel, but our discussion was on a totally different level. So I'm not going to show your website, but I'm going to mention the name is travelmax.com. I want people to check it out. And I want you guys to really come back in terms of the whole idea of relationships, that whole...
so much fun. Yes. So if you want to travel, travelmax.com. If you want to learn more about our book, you can go to pragmatist.guide or check us out on Amazon at The Pragmatist Guide to Life.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in the relationship book, just fill out one of the forms on pragmatist.guide and we'll be updating everyone when it comes out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I am going to be going into arranged marriages. Clearly, will I arrange it myself? Oh, yeah. And I love that. The person that you're going with or you're looking to should be able to add value to you and make you a better version of yourself. And I like what you said. Sometimes we resist the person that is trying to make us a better person. Yeah, that's significant. But at the time, you may not see that. You may resist, because of our worldview. We're coming back to our worldview again.
Yeah. Or you may have chosen to marry somebody who wants you to be a version of yourself that you think is worse.
Yeah.
They may think that you should be more feminine. They may think that you should spend more time at home, and that's not who you want to be. And that's why it's important to know who they want you to be.
Yeah.
Because they can either help you become who you want to become, or they can be a force fighting against you.
Yeah.
That's right. So it comes back to what Simone says. You have to know what you want, what you're looking for. And if that matches up with what they want for you or what they see for you. Yeah. That's interesting. You guys have to come back on, neuroscientists and all. Oh my goodness. You guys are a gem. Thank you, Simone and Malcolm, for being on Between the Lines, for sharing, for digging deep, for bringing a sort of intellectually stimulating discussion. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being on Between the Lines.
Thank you.
Thank you.